Yeah,
He's by far the most excited person to listen to this episode,
yeah,
to hear more and more of your story. Because like I think me and Ben have been talking about you for years now, and about
yeah.
the this really unique space in Australian powerlifting you've held for a really long time. And like you said, 23 years without a break, you've been competing.
Yeah,
And
well, yeah.
yeah, like how did it start for you? Like, why would you do powerlifting?
So what happened was I was I was always at school and I wanted to do a sport. I was always sporty. I wanted to play cricket. I wanted to play footy. Footy was out of the question.
Hmm.
Cricket I played very badly. Um, but I loved it. And then started trying all these disabled sports, like wheelchair basketball, and I was no good in a chair. So,
Hmm.
and I was always someone who was proud of the fact that I could walk around, and sort of tried to keep that going. Yeah. Um, and then I tried table tennis, but I didn't have a forehand because I couldn't move, so I could only hit the
Oh,
backhand shot. Yeah,
right, right. Okay, well,
yeah,
yeah, okay. So you couldn't do all that lunging and stuff, right?
yeah. It wasn't possible. And
Yeah,
then
okay.
I was in year 2002. I would have been year 9 or something, or even year 10, 2009, 2010. Sorry, 2003, 2002, 2003 would have been
Right.
in 9 or 10. And there was a school bench press. There was a bench press in the school gym, like one of those pin loaded ones.
Yeah.
And because I was the fat kid who ate too much pasta, I was the strongest one. And there was a sign on the wall. It said, "Do you want to enter the school bench press competition?" And
Oh
Steve,
man, I remember that. The
yeah,
school's bench press conference. Yeah, that's how we used to that's how we would artificially inflate our membership numbers by having all these
yeah,
school kids do one bench press competition ever and then tell
yeah.
the government we had 10,000 members.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Um,
So you came in
and
through
then
that.
came in through that, and
Wow.
then the contact number on the poster was Mary and Steve Giffen.
No way.
Yeah, so I rang Steve Giffen, and my dad might have done it because I wasn't
Hmm.
driving by then, and explained my story, and he said, "Why don't you come down to Bodywell Balaclava and start, and I'll show you what it is." Um, and so I came down to Bodywell Balaclava at the end of 2002.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think it was around school holidays. It was November, December, and did a few things. He showed me what it was. I was about 80 kilos then, and none of it was muscle. And I was only 15 maybe, 15,
Yep.
16. And then I loved it. He said, "Oh, well, why don't you start powerlifting with us?" So I've got a lot of thanks for Steve and Mary for what they did for me. Um, and then 2003 I started training. It wasn't just benching at the start.
Hmm.
And then I basically spent the first 12 months losing weight. So I went from 80 to 60. So I went from unhealthy to healthy
Yep.
and started bench pressing. And the rest was history. And then I guess I joined a lot of clubs and met a lot of people through there, and the rest happened.
So your first club was Southern Powerlifting.
Yes.
Huh. I didn't know that.
No.
I think when I met you, you were at Apollo or Elite Sports Performance, weren't you?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Southern Powerlifting how you met Pritchard?
Correct.
Huh. Okay.
So there was, look, I guess there was a period of time around the time that I turned, I think it was around the time that I turned 18 and I was finished school. There was a bunch of lifters from Southern, and we had different philosophies in terms of
Hmm.
how it all went along. And I kind of went one way, which was Stephen Pritchard and Ryan Mitchell and Jason Spear eventually, and
Yep.
uh,
Dave Trankong.
Dave Trank. Well, I met David ESP, but
Oh, did you?
the
Okay.
the original mates that I had from Southern that sort of formed SFW at the time. I think it was. I can't remember the
Hmm.
exact time frames of it all. So long ago, but was like Pritchard, Buff, and then we because Pritchard got invited to ESP, that's how I ended up at ESP.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
just writing down notes because I want to come back to a couple of stuff. I want to come back to Ryan Mitchell later on.
yeah,
Because I've told stories about Buff for years, and nobody believes that we did that to him. Especially your role in him winning a national championship.
yeah,
But anyway. So you Buff Pritchard, you all head down to Apollo Gym and that was in Footscray back in those days, right?
yeah.
Yep. And you meet Marty Gervin, just come back
Met
from
my
Westside Barbell, and then you had Sean Bostock, Dave Park. Who else
yeah.
was there?
Oh, da- uh, Daniel Di Pasquale, Daniel
That's it.
Patelli.
Oh,
Um,
Port. Yeah, I forget all about Port. He was a
there was
great
a few.
squatter.
There was a few other guys like some of Marty's firemen blokes that were really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Sossel, Clint Gregan, was I think the brother of Joe Gregan, who's now
Mm-hmm.
married to David Trencong. So it was a massive community. Steve Kirby, I'm just rolling off names now,
Oh yeah.
but
This is
um,
what I love about this because most of these names I've completely forgot about. But then as soon as
yeah,
somebody mentions it, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I forget about them. So that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So and I think Jason Spear and Jason came across. We met him at Southern,
Mm-hmm.
but he came across eventually.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it was. I think that's the thing about powerlifting. I think that's the thing you've touched on a few times. Like you just meet some amazing people, and it's amazing how
Right.
many, you know, how the friendships develop based on little things. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it probably important for anybody listening, just to get a whole lot more context for what you've been able to do. Can you talk us through CP and like how it affects you, and you know what the progression is, and all those sort of things?
Yeah. Uh Basically, I was born premature.
Mm-hmm.
So I was born at 7 months. I was 2 pound 8 as a baby,
Oh, that's tiny.
um, which is tiny.
Yeah.
Basically, it affects your oxygen to the brain, which in my case, I was lucky it didn't affect any of my cognitive ability and upper body, but my
Mm-hmm.
legs and my balance. It affects my fine motor skills, which a lot of people don't know. But for benching, because you grab a bar,
Yep.
you're not really affected by that. Um, Yeah, and I guess it affects your balance and just your coordination a lot too.
Yeah.
Like, I
Okay.
think
Yep.
that's probably been the hardest thing about being a bencher and being having CP. Like, your balance is always unco. Like, it gets better, but it's always a bit uncoordinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now people always, when we hear balance, and this is sort of the privilege coming through. Most people always think standing balance, but it's not just standing up, is it? Like there's balance issues on a bench too, like in
Well,
terms of
yeah.
stabilizing and stuff like that.
Stabilizing. I got to a situation where I guess because I didn't balance with my glutes and lower body to the best of my ability because it was weaker. I got really good at balancing on my neck and traps. Um,
Oh,
but
talk us through that because that's what I see most able-bodied bench pressers doing quite poorly.
it's just you just compensate. You know how they say, if you got vision impairment, you're good in another area.
Hmm.
I just learned how to tighten everything up and just push through my neck, push through my traps. I'm not trying to, but the thing is, like when it gets hard, your core and your legs do some of it as you train it, but
Hmm.
it doesn't do as much of it as an able-bodied person and somebody with a different disability. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but um, I think that I think Benny and I have spoken about this a few times. Like the balance for someone who's a quad or paraplegic is sometimes different because they can like it's not a nerve thing. I don't understand the exact things of it, but there's different balance components. Whereas Um, I can sort of, with my bar speed, if I'm too slow or too fast, I can throw myself off balance. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
remember watching you in a couple of comps where that happened, and
yeah,
Pritchard explained it to me. He said,
yeah,
"Yeah." Yeah, that's it's
So
just narrow. Like it's already hard, and the weights that you were lifting are already difficult for everybody. Like they're not light
yeah,
weights, and it just seemed to be that your margin for error like virtually doesn't exist. You had to be really really precise.
yeah.
Is that kind of
I
what it
think
was?
I think you got to a certain point where, and also with rules like uneven extension and all that sort of stuff. Like I always knew I could grind out weights. I was always pretty good at that. But if I balanced at the wrong moment, I knew I was going to be uneven, or I knew I was going to do something that was going to give me a red light. So, I had a lot of comps where I didn't do as much as I, could have, or with nerves affects balance
Hmm.
because you're
Yeah.
sort of thinking about your performance. But look, I guess for me, it's probably the thing that I'm the most proud of. I mean, there's a lot of people in the sport that have, I guess, got not a lot, but got to my level maybe quicker or at a shorter time frame. But I guess I've seen. I don't think in my time in lifting, I've seen as many people with CP. I guess on the
No.
international stage. Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's something I'm proud of, but it's made the journey rewarding.
Mm.
But you always wish you lifted more weight. But
I think that's
yeah,
everybody. I don't think there's a
yeah,
person in powerlifting that's quite happy or satisfied with how much they lift. I bet you Jim
yeah,
Kolb is still going, yeah, I want 10 more pounds.
yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, you make a really good point. Like, I don't think if I think about all of the great power benches that I've seen, and if you think about a power bench comp, you see heaps of guys, heaps of amputees,
yeah,
which makes sense, and then far less with like spina bifida, and then I rarely see somebody in the top 10 with CP.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, which is so just yeah, that's what I say. What you've done, I think is quite incredible.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
Mhm.
Um, I want to sort of talk a little bit about how you did para comps and IPF comps at the same time,
Yeah.
and what was that like?
It was, it had its political. Had its political uh, pathways and
Hmm.
agendas, I guess. Look, I got spotted in the Paris circles because I was an able-bodied lifter.
Right.
Um,
So was that your
I
first comp? Like first few comps were in PA?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember my first comps I ever went to watch with Giffo was in the back of sheds at Colac as a 16-year-old.
Oh, what was that?
Um,
Brett Smart? Is that the guy's
Brett
name?
Smart and
Uh,
Mick Taranto. I'll never forget. I went and watched my first comp with my dad, and they were benching in the back of a garage, and I think Mick Taranto was lifting 200 kilos, and you know how we were always struggling for volunteers and that sort of thing,
mm-hmm.
and ripped a pec off, and it was really it was a pretty bad injury, lots of weight, and I just remember like how small the sport was. Um, then and like especially now like the I can't really speak for the able body as much because I haven't been as attached to it in recent times, but
Mm-hmm.
I know for para like it's hitting a bit of a new frontier, which is exciting.
How good was that set up at Nationals a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, it's just it's hard to believe.
It was sick, wasn't it? It was
It
like,
was just I mean this is a different topic, but lots of credit to the people that have put in a lot of time. But Simon's done a great job, and the athlete identification and just promotion is just incredible. It was yeah, I had FOMO from a viewing from a just being their point of view, but
mm,
I guess I'm someone who likes to be at my best, and I'm sure my time will come. But seeing the sport grow that much really put a smile on my face.
yeah, man. I loved seeing that massive poster of Benny. Um,
Yeah,
Now we get to call him the poster boy, poster child, the
yeah,
megastar. But yeah, man, like you said, like I remember my first powerlifting comp here in Perth. We had 4 people lifting that day. I think
yeah.
there was more volunteers, so more spotters and loaders and referees than there were lifters.
Mhm.
Most of the spotters and loaders were capo members, not PA members,
Yeah.
and so we just made sure we didn't tell anybody about it and um, didn't take any photos. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was four of us lifting in the muscle pit, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then by the time, where we get to in like 2015, um, we're at the convention center in Perth with, I think we had about 100 or so athletes, internationals, thousands of people watching. It was just, the explosion in powerlifting a couple of times now has been quite astronomical. But it
Mm.
sounds weird to say, yeah, I went to a comp in the back of someone's shed one time. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you seen change for the better then? What do you like more now than what existed before?
Um, I think for para sport, there was always one way of they always saw one way of training
Hmm.
or one way of doing it because that's how it had been successful for certain people with certain disabilities.
Right.
And if you didn't fit in within that and that technique didn't work for you, it sort of didn't make sense. But I think with more able-bodied lifters and lifters from all different backgrounds and feds and whatever, knowing about all the different types of lifting,
Hmm.
different training methodologies and different views have been sort of more widely accepted, if that makes sense, and that different things work for different people. Um, and I like that. I like
Yeah.
that because I was a youngster that like to go back a step. I did a national in at PA nationals in Townsville in 2006, and and
Oh wow!
and then
Was that a Sean Muir comp?
I think so. It was,
Yeah.
and I think I got spotted there by Ray Epstein and a few other people. So
Yeah. Okay.
that's how my journey with actually being involved in parasport started.
So
Um,
what would Ray have been thinking at the time watching you walk out? Like, were you using your sticks back then,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
yeah?
yeah, yeah. Oh, they just basically after that comp, I got spotted and they sort of said join the program.
Yeah.
But
Right.
up until 2003 and between say 2003 4 to 2006, I was just training with Southern, training with Pritchard, training with Buff, doing
Hmm.
my thing. So um, yeah, so it's just right place, right time, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Um, but not. I remember one of the challenges was I did my first comp about 18 months into training, like being in
Hmm.
the gym, and Gifo and Mary organised some blocks for me to put my feet on,
Oh,
and
okay. Yep.
the idea was try and keep your feet down, and I pressed my opener out twice easily, but I lifted my feet, so because I couldn't control it. Um,
Yeah. Can you explain that for people? Because
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think people quite get that. Because like I've been saying to people for a while now, whenever I talk about you, that it's like you don't really get to do 100% in an able-bodied comp as a CP athlete, do you? You have to kind of adjust your percentages because otherwise your legs just sort of kick out.
yeah. Well, I would probably kick out at 60, 70% to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Um,
That light?
but yeah, but basically with able body, you put your feet on the ground and you push through your feet, or at least you keep them down. And if you raise your feet, it's a no lift, regardless of the technical whether you've lifted the weight correctly.
Hmm.
And when I push, my legs kind of spasm up at the same time as the push, so the legs like come out straight. Um, and I guess because my first exposure to lifting was okay, I'm going to lift with the able bods. I need to find a way to be able to meet their rules so I get lifts. And
Hmm.
we tried with the blocks, and yeah, basically what happened was I did it twice, missed it. The third one, I pressed it out really slow, but controlled it like slowed down my press, but tried to stop my feet from lifting, and I managed to do it. I think it was 80 kilos at like 60 or something.
Yeah, right.
What back then? But I remember it because I was, your first comp, and I thought I was going to bomb, and I managed to slow down my press so much that I didn't push my feet out. But then you think you're going to miss the weight, so
Wow.
um, yeah. But yeah, it was it's funny how those little things stick with you. I don't know. You
Hmm.
just There's so many things about it, the different comps I can't remember, but I can remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, right. I
yeah,
always put it down to like that's the moment in the competition where your concentration was at its peak. Like you were totally
yeah,
concentrating on what you're doing. So I
yeah.
think that's we form really strong memories under that. Like I
Mm,
think I told someone a story the other day about, and I when I close my eyes, I can see it clearly. Was it 2011? I remember Sean being in the crowd at that the Pacific Invitational in that really, remember that really nice hotel that was like opposite the train station,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and we had Brad Gillingham, myself, Stephen, Tony Harris, and all of the
yeah,
Apollo guys turned up. And I just remember walking out my first squat and looking up and trying to, finding my spot on the back wall. And I saw
yeah,
Bostock and I'm going, oh, cool. Bostock's here. I better be good
yeah,
today.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I remember that. I don't remember much else from that day, but I remember that.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing how I'm just trying to think of some of the other key things, but you remember your comps where you bomb, obviously.
Hmm.
You
So
remember what?
you would have bombed a fair bit, right?
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
there are a couple of times where I've got to be careful how I say it, but when I started the transition from para powerlifting to able-bodied powerlifting, um, but it was really tricky to be honest with you, like because they were like, it was kind of like you were so happy to be in the para program,
Hmm.
but they were like, okay, if you're going to be with us, you train our way, right?
Uh, yeah.
So,
Definitely had
so,
that before.
and so I had a bunch of people that you would know pretty well that were pretty good lifters, I would say,
Hmm.
that were helping me from a day to day basis. But I felt compelled to do it the para way completely because I didn't want to piss off the new authorities, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and
Okay.
to be honest, I was you're still you're a lot younger as a 22-year-old as you are as
Mm.
a 38-year-old. So you're trying to manage all that. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of the time I tried to do a mixture of both, or I did the para way, and some of the bits didn't work for me because my
Hmm.
CP is different to the other disabilities, like we've talked about.
Yep.
And then I didn't know how to convey that without um, pissing people off. To be honest with you, like. It might be a little bit controversial to say, but like it was a tricky one because we were also getting funded at that time too in those early days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you had to manage your relationships, and it was tricky because I was just trying to get better at the sport, and I saw the value in some of the things that the way the paras did it, and I saw value in some of the things that my mates that had got me to this point had done it.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was trying to find the balance was hard, and then sometimes I'd go to comps and certain technical things for para weren't good enough, but then I'd think back and I'd go, well, I've taken this out of my program because we've talked about taking this out of the program, but it used to help me when I was doing um, Able-Bods. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it was a tricky time because you were just trying to find your way and trying to maintain all your relationships, and
Hmm.
obviously I needed my support network in Melbourne to keep myself training because you were
Yep.
doing it all remotely too. So um,
Man,
does that,
that's a lot of pressure on a young guy, like having to sort of navigate between those two systems and like.
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I got it all right, and that's probably why I bomb sometimes. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
think if there was,
I always think with bench only, if you're not bombing every now and then, are you really a bench only guy? Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
bombed a fair bit. I think I bombed 6 times all up. I think I did
I
60 comps total. I did, but and I bombed 6 times. So like
yeah,
I'm all right with bombing now. I hated doing it at the time, but you learn so much from missing lifts, don't you?
yeah, you do. And it was kind of like when I look back at the end, because probably my last couple of comps before I have had this break were my best ones, where I got my balance sorted and or sorted to the best that I've probably ever had it sorted, if it makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was a tricky time because I wasn't I wanted to maintain all the relationships and stuff, but I didn't really know how to. To be honest, at the time, like if it happened now as a older man and stuff, I reckon I'd be fine. Yeah, but
Yeah. What
at
would
that
you say
stage, I
now?
was,
How would you handle it differently?
oh, just say, come on, like we're all on the same team here. Don't. Sometimes as an athlete, you feel like certain people are trying to own your success rather than share it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. We've talked about this a
Yeah,
lot with other
yeah,
coaches. Like like somehow the athlete is a pawn being controlled by the
yeah,
coach, and any success you have isn't yours. It's whoever gave you the program or whoever's coaching you. Yeah. So
yeah. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. So
I think there
that's
was
been
a bit
around
of
for a while.
that.
Hmm.
I think there was a bit of that. But at the same time, some of the things that annoyed me and was hard to manage, I still look back as an ad and go, both like the para people that we went away with, they were so helpful, and they wanted the best for you, but it was still tricky,
Yeah.
and it was hard doing big comps that are really important to you, and your training partners that you train with week in week out that you see 4 times 5 times a week are not there, are they? So whereas if you do a PA comp, you rock up together. It's almost like a footy trip after the comp, as we know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I have some partially remembered uh, post powerlifting experiences that you feature in many of them, and I only remember parts of those experiences because of
yeah,
what we were doing at the time. But they're always good. That was great fun.
yeah. So yeah, I
Actually,
think that was
yeah,
tricky.
I was just thinking. I remember pushing you through Newcastle in a shopping trolley one night.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Buff had given me too many beers, and that was the easiest mode of transport. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, getting back
yeah,
to it. So that's what powerlifting looked like when we were doing it, especially
yeah,
afterwards. Yeah.
yeah. But I think that was one part. Um, and then you'd have periods because of the funding where you'd go, oh, it's easier just to do comps in your home state and just
Hmm.
do able-body because you get more practice, and you're not, forking out various forms of expenditure,
Hmm.
to go overseas. So I went through a period where I just trained, every as normal, but didn't do much overseas competitions.
Hmm.
And then I've came not come back, but I've gone back to international competitions for Paralympics over time, or you know, Paralympics Australia over time, and had some really good experiences. But yeah, I think the thing with the disabled competitions is the press and all that is so strict, or that you when you get a lift or you perform at that competition, it's very satisfying. Like there's no secret
Oh
that you can
yeah.
get away with more. You can get away with more at an able body comp.
Oh man, like yeah, like
Yeah,
if you can get, I always figure if you can get a lift past in a power bench comp, it's passing
yeah,
everywhere. Like it's a perfect
yeah,
lift. Like
yeah,
there's, you look at Paris last year and bend session, especially some of the lifts that got turned down. I was watching it with other powerlifters who like experienced powerlifters, and they couldn't pick what the fault was. Like it's so technical what they put you
yeah.
guys through. It almost feels mean. I don't know. Like why are your standards so much higher than our standards? I don't get it.
I don't. It's one of those things. It's and I say this with a little bit of ignorance, and with that, like I know with other sports, you have classifications based on, I guess, disability function.
Hmm.
Maybe swimming and running, for an example.
Yep.
But I think if you did that in powerlifting, you wouldn't have enough athletes, and you'd have
Yep.
and you'd have everyone being a gold medalist or a podium finisher, and you don't want to make you don't want to make sport like, when you're trying to do it at an elite level or a semi-elite level, like a participation award. That's how I see it anyway.
Yep.
But also, like, you know, there. This might be controversial to say. I worked out a long time ago that there are lifters with other disabilities that are probably going to be able to lift more weights than me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
At the international level. And sometimes that's hard to stomach when you've been lifting for 23 years. But you've just got to realize, well, this is what I was given. being a powerlifter has meant that I've been a fit person for the last 20 years because I've had something to aim for. And, I've represented Australia. I have had Oceania records, been to a few worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I look at it. And I'm not saying I'm having a little bit of a break at the moment, seeing where we go, but it's only when you step back a little bit where you look at, okay, look where this has taken me. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take us through the resume for powerlifting. First Australian team. What year was that?
Oh, 2007, I think I went to the Arafura Games. It was probably I won a gold medal as an under 23 junior, and I think I benched 112 or 115 at 63 at the time.
Wow.
I really had this really bad habit of losing too much weight. So when I used to prep for comps, but that was my first one. Then I did a few over 2009, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon there was a 5 or 6 year period where I wasn't doing any and I had a break, but I was still lifting week in, week out
Mm-hmm.
at home. And then I remember 2017, I went to Hungary and I went for a 6-day trip and I bombed in an international comp, which
Was
was
that
hard to swap.
was that Worlds?
No, it was one of the other ones.
Right.
But then I've been to 2013 Worlds, and I think I did 145 at 76. Um,
I just like pausing when I hear when I hear your numbers and I go, yeah, that's with no leg drive, feet strapped to a bench, literally all upper body, and it's almost double body weight bench
yeah,
with cerebral palsy. And I just go, that's nuts, man. Like that's just nuts.
yeah. It's hard because you know it's something to be proud of, but
Yeah,
when you go to international comps and you see people doing 200 in the 74s or something,
yeah,
you go, what? Like, how do you sort of have to like sort of process it in your brain and go, it's good, but it's not good. It's hard to explain.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't need to explain it to me. I had a terrible time with that because like I'd go to the Arnold's or Worlds and I hang out with all my mates. I remember sitting at a dinner table one night and the guy on my left, we looked around the table and I looked at him and go, you know, me and you are the only ones here without a world title. And he goes, yeah, it sucks.
yeah,
And so I
yeah,
always thought that I wasn't that good because all my mates won Worlds. Um,
yeah,
and like I was benching 340, but they were benching 365 or 370. So I'm like, I'm nowhere near them. You know, they're so much better. But
yeah.
I think because we only ever compare ourselves to people that are better than us. We're never
That's
comparing
right.
ourselves to the people we beat
Yeah, yeah.
because
That's
that would
true.
that would be arrogant and all those sort of things. And where we've grown up Australian, we don't do that. So we only compare ourselves to people that can beat us. So we always feel kind of crap, I guess.
Yeah, and then I guess the most recent was in May. We had a competition in Thailand where I made 72s, and I did 136, which was an Oceania record at the time.
Yeah, nice,
So
nice.
that's probably the 145 at 76 on international comp, and the 136 at 71 or whatever. They're the two best lifts I've probably put. They are the two best lifts I've put up
Hmm.
that have been passed in competition. Um, so yeah, they're definitely like things to be proud of. And yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
just yeah. But it's funny. I wish I remember. Like when I talk about it, I'm sure as you prompt my memory, all the memories will come back. But there's so many over a 22, 23 year period. There's probably so many things I could say, but it's hard to remember it all. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I'm sure you'll prompt me. So
Oh man, I love trying to find the right question, like rattle people like you and hear all the stories fall out. I know
yeah,
a couple of months ago when I was in Norway, I had breakfast. A few. Oh no, it stopped. What did that stop for?
hang on. Sorry,
Oh, yours stopped. That's all right. I think we're good.
Is it back on again?
Yep, yep, it's rolling. We're all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, IPF Bench Worlds in Norway, just outside of Oslo, and I had breakfast most mornings with David Ricks, Tom Senich, and Damien Faziglia from the US, and they're all M3s now. So they've been lifting for they've been doing this 30, 35 years. And
Yeah.
and watching them remember things from 20 years ago is hilarious because they've completely forgot it, like you have. And
Yeah.
it's only from sharing like 3 or 4 stories, and then on the third day they go, "Oh, we were talking about this thing. I remembered that such and such was there," and we go on about these things.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. And I forget people all the time. I forget that I was even at places until people tell me a story. I go,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, that's right, I was there." But one story I do, I'd love to hear from your perspective, because we all thought it was pretty funny. Was 2008 Powerlifting Australian Nationals
Right.
with Ryan, helping Ryan Mitchell go up a weight class in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Look, I do. He won by being a 110. Was that right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, because he was a 100 kilo lifter, wasn't he? And
Yeah.
he had to put on like 3 or 4 kilos really quickly.
Yeah. So we were like, all I can really remember is like him drinking so much food and so much water, and walking along the street, like looking for different things to eat. And I'm walking along with him with my hands full because I got 2 sticks in my hand. And then all of a sudden he'd just walk past and go, "I need to pull over," and he'd just be chucking up fluid or something. It was just, yeah, it was just one of those things. And I can't remember the exact reasons and who and why and all that sort of stuff. But I remember sometimes, as you know, with comps, like if you think you're going to hit a good number, if there's a chance to win, but also take the pressure off to perform to your
Mm.
best ability in terms of, if your PB 750 and you want to choose 780, sometimes when you know that you're going to win by doing that, but you want to push the limits, it can produce the best out of you. But all I can remember is him being sick quite a few times, um, and me walking around with Dave Train Kong, and I was sort of the observer because anything that he needed to get, Dave would be the one running into the shops or doing this, and I was just sitting there, sort of the one having a laugh. So, um, but yeah, it was funny, and it was oh, we had so many good memories. Like I remember we used to be able to, backstage you'd always give someone a whack or slap across the face, and you know,
Oh, you hit people with sticks before. I've heard
I
about
used to,
this.
well, Dave used to hit him across the face, give him the old whack, and I used to sometimes, tap his knee or whatever, but I had to be careful because he was going to go out and squat or deadlift or something. But I wanted to inflict some pain. But yeah, they were good memories. Get people fired up. The good old ammonia caps at the time. Um,
Oh man,
yeah,
I'm like I'm semi serious when I think maybe ammonia contributed to me having a stroke because I really loved ammonia caps. And
yeah,
I took a lot of them, so I'm not sure how much damage they did in the end, but I don't know. I'm still alive, so I don't care. It was fun.
yeah. But I think yeah. Look, I think from memory he did pretty well that day in terms of numbers.
Yeah,
But
he won. Like that
yeah,
was his only national title. Like
yeah. But no.
I remember sitting in the yeah, because it was in Newcastle in that really flash hotel, and you guys stayed down the road, didn't you?
Mhm.
You weren't at the Mead Hotel. I had some like I remember I got some like penthouse deluxe suite.
Mhm.
It was really cool. But yeah, I come downstairs and I remember Dave saying, "Yeah, Buff just puked out on the street again." And I
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
and I laughed. I'm like, "Man, how many times is that now?" And apparently you were out there with him, resting on your sticks, sort of almost leaning over Don Tess style,
Mm,
going, you're going to have to drink that, right? You're
yeah.
going to have to replace that. And
That's
I thought
correct.
that was the funniest and also cruelest thing for because he's trying to make weight and he's so close that every time he threw up, he was going back underneath the weight that he needed to be. So he was going to have to
Thinking back,
replace it no matter
thinking
what.
back now, he probably should have put some more clothes on the scales, right?
Well, you got to weigh in your underwear, don't you? I don't know. Maybe wear a heavy gold chain or something, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, I just remember going every time you chuck, you're gonna have to put it back in, mate.
Yeah,
So,
but hold it down. Come on, man.
so
I
I don't know, but it was just it was good times, and I guess well, how old was I then? 2008, I would have been 21, 22. So I would have
yeah,
been loving just watching someone make a fool of themselves.
yeah. It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
I had a good day out that day too.
yeah,
Wow, wow. Last week, Benny and I were talking about you, and this, like I said before, this really amazing position you've held in Australian powerlifting. Do you know that there's only 4 people in Australia that have done a bench press over 300 kilos? Like there's
yeah,
4 that have done it in competition. You're friends
yeah,
with 3. You're friends with 3 of those people.
yeah.
So
Correct.
you used to train with Bostock and Pritchard all the time.
Yeah.
Um, how important do you think that was for you developing your bench press? Because like
Oh,
obviously Sean's the best we've ever had in this country by far.
look.
Stephen was the first drug free to 300.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, they were massive. I think Steve was always because I mean Steve's philosophies and Steve's encouragement was probably one of the main reasons why we sort of formed SFW when we broke off from Southern,
mhm.
and him being such a good bencher. Um, and he was his sessions were so long. Like he used to, as which I'm sure you could
Mm.
experience similar things. And like, yeah, it was just being around people that was so good at it. It always created a expectation of like, well, I'm doing good, but this is not that good because your warp of normal is just different. You know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a really good point. That that old saying that to get stronger, just join a stronger gym. Like
yeah,
I've told people that, and they go, "What do you mean?" I go, "Oh, you just hang out with people stronger than you. You're bound to get stronger, just by
yeah.
osmosis, almost."
And Bostock was interesting because Bostock was a bit later. I mean,
Mm,
Pritchard was involved the whole time, but Bro was really good for me because you know, regardless of feds and all the rest of it, like that's all irrelevant. Like he never cared. He never cared where where you were competing or that sort
yeah.
of stuff. But he basically there was a period in my life where I was training, but I couldn't train at the same times as you know Pritchard, Axe, and Dave and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, and I was training at a gym closer to home because I live probably 45 minutes away from ESP, so I
Hmm.
wasn't close. And I was like, I was training, but I wasn't able to push myself because I didn't have a spotter. And believe it or
Yep.
not, organizing it's a bigger thing when you're a CP athlete. You can't just push yourself to the limit without help, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I said to Bro, I said, Bro, I can't do this. Like, I can't be a better athlete without help.
Hmm.
But how can I do this? Can I come and train the same nights that you train after work? And he was like, "Yep." So I just had to go to make my sessions exactly when his sessions were, and he helped me 3 times a week for like years.
Wow. Yeah, he's
And
such a good guy, isn't he?
oh, he's a gentle giant. And he was tough. Like he's like with ESP, I think there was an element of like you knew you were liked by sort of getting a bit abused, like and pushed harder,
Hmm.
But yeah, without that time, like I would have, even now, like I went to the gym this morning and I didn't bench, but I just did back and a few bits and pieces. And I didn't, I ended up doing volume because I can't pick up a heavy dumbbell without an assistant, you
Yep.
know? Or I can't, I could, even benching 80 kilos or 100 kilos, I can do it without assistance. But if there's not someone standing near me to load the plates, it's not happening. So,
Yeah.
and it's funny because when you ask someone who doesn't know you to load 100 kilos and you roll up with the sticks, they're like, "Are you sure about this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just
Is it crazy? Are
you
you
know."
crazy?
So yeah, I've had a bit of fun with that over the years. Like, I've had a general gym guy give me a hand every now and then, and I'll put 60 on, and I'll pretend that I'm struggling a bit. Then I'll ask him for 80, and I'll do it a bit slower. I'll say it's time for 100, mate, and then I'll start doing normal.
Yeah, right,
It's a
right,
bit
right.
of fun, but yeah, but it's just little things like that. But yeah, where did that come from? But yeah, Bostock was amazing.
Yeah.
And you always find new ways of doing things. And we sort of had a system where I'd rest while he was doing sets.
Hmm.
So I didn't feel when you're relying on people, even if they're your good mates, like you still feel um I wouldn't say a burden, but like you feel like you don't want to ruin their time in the gym, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep. That does.
And that's why I loved ESP because there was such a big group that I could ask 20 people to spot, you know,
Yep.
and I wasn't relying on one person. But with Bro, I was relying on one person, and there was no problem, you know. So yeah, it was a
I've
great time.
I've got this like I'm working on my website at the moment, and I'm going through all my values. um, and so one of like my values for building a powerlifting team or any organization is this. So it's called the Circle of Courage, and it's got four points, and they all go both ways. They all interact with each other. So you got mastery, belonging, independence, and generosity. And I found that all the best athletes in the like really, really good athletes, like all the people who are right at the top, are the most generous people I've ever met.
Hmm.
Um, so like hearing stories like how generous Sean is with his time and his expertise and all this stuff, you're going, well, it makes sense that he's the best because he's also the most generous. And then you meet
Yeah,
someone like Pritchard, Steve Giffen, um, Richie Hosgen was the same deal. Like all of these really awesome lifters were the ones that would tell you how to do stuff and
yeah,
wouldn't they wouldn't think twice. It was always
yeah,
the people back down the chain, I think, that were trying to hide information away or say their way was the only way or stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, Sean,
yeah.
in terms of generosity, I think he shows you why mastery and generosity go together.
Yeah, but you sort of take because I mean, now that you're older and you've got different responsibilities, you take for granted seeing those people in the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and
Yeah.
just the friendships they build. But like, oh, they were just yeah, it was just great. And I saw a photo the other day that was posted by Dave Trankong. I think you might have seen it as
Oh,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I commented on that.
Yeah, and it was just like I remember it. It was the first time. Well, it was like the first year that I met Dave and
Hmm.
Axe, one of the other guys that used to
I
lift,
remember
and
Axe. Yeah.
you know, and just how young we were. I had hair, so it's
How long ago did the hair? How long have you been bald now, or
oh,
shaving? I should say.
12, 13 years, I reckon.
Yeah.
25. Just test, just the genes, no good. But no,
Yeah, I was the
lucky I
same, man. I started shaving my head at 19. I saw
yeah,
where I was headed. I'm like, yeah, it's just getting
yeah.
early,
We're lucky we can pull it off,
right?
because we didn't have a choice. So
No,
yeah,
you got to do it. Got to do it.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So that photo, like, you had some, like, there was multiple national champions. You had. Let's talk about Chucky because I think he's somebody in Australian powerlifting that I think was hugely influential to a lot of people across federations. Um, and he was working for the Storm at the time and had this really cool position. But I find not many people know who Daniel De Pasquale was.
yeah. He was for me. He was someone that wasn't really interested in competing. I think that's why, or not as much as others. Um,
Mm,
and
yeah,
they
okay.
did, and they did. He did so many variations that some of them were funky, some of them were too funky. And even me, I'd say, mate, you're just putting that block there because you don't want to go down far enough.
Yeah.
And you want to lift more weight. But he
He did
was.
come up with 6-way band squats.
That's right.
Yeah,
I couldn't keep up after a while. But
yeah.
but he was another one. Like he'd always be helpful. He was always consistent, even
Hmm.
if he did different stuff. And that's probably part of the reason why he's so good at different variations of exercises. Because he did West Side, he did so many different things in different ways
Yep.
that he, yeah, he was so adaptable. Um, but like we were blessed looking back. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you had Marty and you had Chuck and then you had Bro and then you had all these people that were probably at the similar age at the same time, all training.
Hmm.
Um, and like even Marty is a fireman, so he had a bunch of fireys that used to come in and lift heavy things.
Right.
And it was just we used to have a AM crew and a PM crew, and you could just fit into either one. And it was just and with Chuck, I think because he wasn't interested in competing like he was, or as much, or just lifting it in the gym with unofficially with some of his mates meant as much to him as a competition. He was able to really enjoy it and really pass on all the different things that he had tried because he tried so many things, you know.
Yeah, he was
Um,
really for a couple of years there. He was really really important to my lifting. Like I used to run ideas past him. He would every time I was in Melbourne, he would turn up at the comp and he would try and pick apart my training. And he would say,
yeah,
you know, where are you going over the next 3 months? What's your plan? And I'd go, oh, I'm thinking of this and this and this. And he'd just hammer me like, why would you do that? Have you thought about these 5 other things? I'm like, no, don't know they exist. But he was
yeah.
just so. I think it was all about the training puzzle for him, wasn't it? He was like
I,
so
I was a
invested
bit I
in.
was a bit lucky because he couldn't talk to me about squats and deadlifts, so it was just so there was less questions. But yeah, he's always on. He was always on. But it was like a passing of the batting. Batting. A
Mm,
lot of people don't realize. Like I think before Marty was at Storm, sorry, before Chuck was at Storm, Marty was at Collingwood Footy Club, and then I think Marty was at Storm, and then Chuck was at Storm. So there's a lot of knowledge like that they would have got from different sports as well,
yeah.
you
Yep.
know, and to go with the fact that they were such avid trainers and they were so committed. There's just so many different thoughts that went on, and I think the sport's come a long way now in sharing ideas, but it was
Hmm.
very narrow minded when I started.
Yeah, I agree. Like I know I started a couple of years after you, but that's what we walked in. That's what I walked into. You had all the clubs around Australia, and
Yeah,
and it didn't it didn't seem like anybody really wanted to talk to each other about programming. That they were all hiding their programs, and nobody would talk about it. And the only people that wanted to talk about training were the SFW crew, which is why I think I gravitated to you all because I was by myself in the middle of nowhere in Karatha. There was no one to talk to about training. I had no training partners. I was
yeah,
insanely jealous of the fact that you had an AM and a PM crew, and it was like, oh man, that's like Westside. All these guys are training together, and here's me training by myself. And so I used to have a
yeah,
little bit of a sook from time to time. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know where I was going with that when it's, but yeah, just that whole culture of sharing. I think SFW really led the way in Australia for sharing information about training.
yeah. Well, Steve was a massive part of that.
Yeah, or that was
Um,
that was his big thing, wasn't it? Like, let's stop
yeah,
competing with one another and let's compete
yeah,
as Australians against the rest of the world.
yeah. I think, and look, there's so many lifters that um, have benefited from different techniques. I know from speaking to Ben that he's picked your brains on a few things, and
Mm,
I could guarantee you that some of the things without knowing what it is and not knowing to need to know what it is, would be different to how the para people do it. But he
yeah,
did, he did 200. What did he do? 200 and something, or close to it, around the time. So you know, um, so it's just, and sometimes you train a certain way for so long, you need a different stimulus.
right.
You know, and
Yeah, I always think that's where I've been really lucky, being because I didn't have a team and I was always solo. I got to I got to spend time with you SFW guys like Pritchard and Bostock in particular. I learned so much from those guys. And then overseas, the Swedish guys, the big Swedish benchers would talk to me because I was by
mm,
myself, and the Finns would talk to me like Kenta Sandvik and guys like that. So I'd learn from them, and then the
yeah,
Americans would also talk to me because I was, I spoke English and I wasn't European. And
yeah,
everybody hates the Americans at Worlds, and so they were happy that I would even talk to them. So I learned from all these different countries, and so I could jump between all of them all the time and just kind of cherry pick whatever felt good at the time.
yeah. Well, yeah, something I remember sort of summarizes it, and I'll keep it nameless. But um, I remember when I was sort of grappling between doing the para programming, finding bits of it weren't working for me, and I'd left some of the bits that were working for my able-bodied programming out of my programming, and trying to find the middle. Um, Someone said to me, if if this person changes, if Pritchard changes your programming, I'm going to come to Melbourne and twist his arm in a bad way, right? And I thought to myself, basically break his arm. And I thought to myself, well, I think he'd break your arm if it got to that. But,
Hmm.
um, that sort of summarizes the competition idea in training rather than collaboration, you know. And I remember that statement because I was probably I don't know 22, 23, and I'm like, I don't want to piss off these people because
Yep.
they're funding my development, but these people have helped me for 5 or 6 years, and I know that they know what they're talking about, even though not everything they do has para relevance and they need to adapt it.
Mm.
And I remember that because I was so torn. Like I'm lucky that um, some of those mates of mine didn't like go, oh well, if they're going to take over, sort of bugger you, just find
Hmm.
someone else to help you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you think about it that way, but I guess I had good friendships with these people. But
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
that sort of that's the old school competition concept rather than the sharing concept that I think now exists.
Yeah, I like the. I really like the information exchange. It's really healthy. Uh,
Yeah,
do you remember the old SFW forum?
I do. Yes,
Yeah. What were you on that? What was your name? Did you go by a pseudonym or?
I was. There was a couple of things. I might have been. They started calling me Stick Ninja when I joined. When I joined uh, Elite Sport Performance, but I think that sort of stuck before that, so they might have
Hmm.
gone off that.
It could have
I'm pretty
been.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it was. It was the Stick Ninja. I forgot all about that.
yeah. So, and it's kind of stuck now. Now I'm involved in cricket, and
Hmm.
some of my lifting mates have sort of passed on the Stick Ninja name to those people. So it's lasted the test of time.
There you go.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay. So we've talked about Buff, we've talked about Bostock, and we keep on talking about Pritchard, even though we haven't asked any questions. Um, tell me how important. Like, I love, I love the fact that Stephen is getting more publicity again now. Like, people are going, "Hey, have you heard of this guy, Stephen Pritchard?" Because I really do think he kind of changed drug free or drug tested powerlifting in Australia. He was one of the guys that really exploded things.
yeah.
And you trained with him from like day one for how many years?
Oh, can't remember, but there was a period when we were training at Southern where Steve Giffen was working at the Melbourne airport. So on
Hmm.
Saturday mornings we used to drive to the Melbourne airport and train in the gym.
Oh, did you?
Uh, yeah, because Steve
How
was
was
the
that?
health. It was kind of cool because Steve Giffen was the healthcare manager or something,
Hmm.
and so after everything was quiet, we'd go in there and we'd bench. And I remember when Steve came in and was just a New Zealander that wasn't powerlifting, that was benching 160, 170 without training much, and we're like, oh, who's this dude? Because I was there before. I was there before Pritchard, and before Buff, and before Jason Spear. They all came within. They all came within a year of probably me joining.
Yeah. Okay. So Jason
So,
was the last to join, I think. Is that right?
oh look, Jay. Actually, I think Jason was. I can't even remember, but Jason was. I reckon Jason was not long after I started. I reckon
Okay.
Jason was before Buff and Steve.
Okay. Because
So
Giffen refereed the gay games, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how that's how you guys picked up Jason.
No, no, no. Jason was just someone who walked into Southern like I did.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I heard stories about Steve met him at refereeing the gay games or something.
No, no, no. He trained
No.
at Bodywell Balaclava
Oh,
with
there you
us.
go. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
Um.
probably the story probably goes the other way around then.
Yeah. So, but
I
like
got it wrong.
there was so many people that were around in that period. Like,
Mm.
um, back in those days, Scotty Upston was in Melbourne for a while, and I was a 19-year-old kid that was training with Scotty Upston, and then 7 years later, he became the para coach.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so it's just like a lot of the people started around Giffo or had some connection to Giffo.
Hmm.
So,
You ever
um,
hear from the Giffens these days? When was the last
oh,
time you saw them?
uh, I bumped into Steve probably a few years ago just through work. Um, Look, I think when we broke off and did our own thing as SFW. It sort of created, to be fair, it created a bit of tension.
Right.
But I probably regret when I chose to go the SFW way, not having a more detailed conversation with Steve. But I look back at it and go, I was only 18, 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a bit of a regret, but I actually bumped into him and tried to talk about that when I bumped into him. So I have a lot of respect for what they did for me, because they were my starting point. But when I look back, I don't regret the choice I made, because look at the connections I made with some of the
Right.
best benches in the world. So,
Yeah.
but I think with Steve, I think like you and Steve's rivalry was quite interesting to me, because I always thought,
Oh, see, we were in different weight classes, so everybody thought we had a rivalry, that we were competing with each other on points, and we never were.
yeah,
Like
but I
we
think
never, and so we were always. Stephen was the person I spoke to most for about.
yeah,
There was about 4 years. I spoke to Stephen more often than I spoke to people in my own hometown.
yeah,
Um, and we just wanted to blow up massive benches.
mm. No, I think with Steve, he started the information sharing, because
Yeah.
I know that when we talked about training differently, um, with the old Southern crew and all that, it unintentionally created a bit of difference of opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was how powerlifting was then, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, look, I don't. I probably regret how some of it went down, but I don't regret the decisions I made. And I'll always have a lot of respect for Steve and Mary, because they were the. I've got a video at home of.
Mm.
I hope they listen to this one day, actually, too. Um,
I'll tag them.
of of
Or actually, I
I
tell you what I'll do. So we've got the timestamp, 1 hour, 1 minute and 40 seconds. I know
Yeah,
Ricky Flanders listens to this.
yeah,
So Ricky, you're listening.
yeah,
Just fast forward to this part for Steve and Mary, and pass this on, please. There we go.
yeah.
All right,
So
way to go.
I've got a video at home, because we were going through it the other day. I was in, I don't know, year 10 or year 11, and they made us do a school project on, I think it was about something in sport, and I chose doping because I was getting into powerlifting, and or something about strength sports, and drug testing came up, yeah.
Right.
And Steve was kind enough to be my interviewer for my year 10 project, and I've got this video sitting in the lounge room, I think, sitting on my parents' chairs, and me sitting in a suit asking Steve questions about powerlifting. So, as a 16-year-old kid, yeah. So look, it's just amazing how much time's passed. I'll be 40 soon. So,
Dude, that's crazy.
yeah,
I keep on thinking that this is going to sound weird, but I think other people my age um might resonate with this. I was thinking just yesterday or the day before about my next major milestone birthday, which obviously is 50, but I
mm,
think of it in my head as my 40th. I
yeah.
go, oh, I'm turning 40 in 2 years' time. I'll have a big party. I'm going, no, I've already had that. I'm 50. I can't. Yeah, it spins me out that I'm this old. Doesn't
Well,
feel
yeah,
right.
it doesn't, but it's just like I got a memory the other day of us standing at. I think it's standing at that comp that you referenced, with where Buff went up in weight class with the water.
Oh,
And
yep, yep.
there's me standing there with Dave behind him, and he's about to walk out, and I think Facebook tells you it's like 16, 17 years ago or whatever it was, and you go, feels like yesterday.
Yeah, how can that be that long ago?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's it's amazing. I mean, like, just to see the profile the sport has, because I reckon it had like it was just a community that it wasn't known, and now it's so known, and you've got platforms where the different records from the different feds are sort of shared, from what I understand, and
yeah,
yeah, it's amazing.
yeah. I really love where it's got to. For the most part, I think the growth, sometimes brings problems, brings some people in that we don't really want. But what I've noticed now, the people that with the expansion that seem to come in and create issues, they tend to leave after maybe 2, 3, 4 years. They don't stick around very long. So I think that's the, having this a perspective like yours, where you've been around for 23 years, you probably got heaps of stories about people that come in and act like they own everything, and then 3 years later they're
Oh,
gone.
that's it. So many, like so many, and
Yeah.
like I think that's probably the thing that one of the things that I'm the most proud of. To have like lasted the test of time. Like, some of the people that I've lifted with in even parallel sports and friendships I've made, some of these guys are coaching now. And,
Yep.
I still get a message. I got a message from Darren Gardner the other day
Oh
going,
man,
going,
we talk about Darren all the time.
yeah.
He's such a good
Well, not
guy.
the, and it was like, so in powerlift, actually, not a lot of people know this, but in, parasport, the nicknames were different for me. Because when I started, I had lots of hair, and I
Hmm.
was like the guy from Melbourne, and I don't know, maybe the guy from Melbourne was seen as the slick one. I don't know, but and there was a lot of Queenslanders, so they got this thing that I
Hmm.
was Fabio because I was Italian. So in the
Okay. All right.
so in the disabled circles, a lot of people call me Fabs. Um, and yeah, so he messaged me and goes, "Oh, Fabs, I didn't see your name on the list. Where what are you still lifting, sort of thing." So it's really nice to have a connection to some of those people and get a message from them every so often. When I did the last few comps, he sent me a message, and they're not people you talk to all the time, but we used to go on training camps, and we had some really good memories. And
Hmm.
he was finishing up or more towards the end when I started being involved in parasport, but he was so much fun. Yeah,
So you would have your first international, the Arafura Games, is like up in Darwin or something, isn't it?
yeah,
So you would have. It's another one that's just nuts. You would have been in on the team when the first Australian bench pressed 500 raw in competition, because that was Darren at that Arafura. He
yeah.
did 235 that day.
Yep. Yep. Well, it was that or one of the other ones, but I was there
Mm,
for that.
yeah.
Actually, it's funny. You've just brought something back now. Um, so I have a really funny. It's kind of funny, but it makes sense. So with cerebral palsy, my senses are more sensitive, right?
Hmm.
And so if I hear a loud noise, even if I know it's coming, I jump like a scaredy cat, right? And so I used to do my bench, and I was always before bear because I was
Hmm.
benching whatever 130, 140. And I'd be finished. I would have done my third attempt, and he'd be starting. So I'd be sitting at the back, sitting on the benches, and he would always yell, yeah, like the
Oh,
prep,
really?
get fired up, yeah.
Yep.
And I know it's coming because I'm watching him, and he'd yell, and I'd be holding onto the bench because I know I'm going to jump as he walks out to lift, and it was really funny, and he'd always do his lift and not react, and then he'd go after the comp, he'd go, "Fabs, you all right? How many times did you jump while I walked out?" So. So you know, it's just things like that. And then we had another one where we were at the AIS one year, or I don't know if it was Canberra or Queensland, and they were showing us around the shopping centre to teach us about food and reading labels and
Hmm.
managing weight and all that sort of stuff. And we went into the freezers to pick something up, and I basically, because I wasn't very good at doing a U-turn, got myself stuck in the freezer and the door shut. And I was standing behind Bear and a guy called Abby Fakadu,
Hmm.
who people may or not remember. And Bear still talks about it to this day, the day that Fabs got stuck in the freezer. So,
Oh man, that's
trying
hilarious.
to do, trying to read the labels. So yeah, they're just great. They're great memories. Um, so. But yeah, there's a lot of people that they've been powerlifting for 4 or 5 years, and then you never hear of them again. And I think the thing about it is, you get to a point with powerlifting where you're good, or
Hmm.
you're strong, or you can get to a level, but it's hard to get to the next bit. So
Yep.
people either keep doing it because they love it, or they go, "I want to try something else." You know.
Hey, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna take a quick break. I can't actually pause the recording, so I'm just gonna go for a minute, and I'll be right back.
Sure.
Alrighty, I'm back. So, yeah, apparently I can't pause the recording on Riverside if you're using a mobile phone.
Okay,
So,
that's all right.
so I may or may like this is the fun bit about having a a small podcast. I may or may not edit out that silence.
It's all good.
So I might just up. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to upload it, and people are going to be trying to work out what's going on for 60 seconds of silence.
Yeah.
Has it stopped? What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
I might put a warning at the start that there's a that there's a big pause coming up. Um, so you made a really good point about people staying in the sport. Like who are the people that stay in? And I think that first group of people is the people with the really big goals that take a long time to get to. And they might
Yeah.
stick around 5 to 10 years, but the people that seem to stick around 10, 20 years, like yourself, aren't staying for that reason most of the time.
No. No.
And it's all tends to be about the relationships.
It's the relationships. I've gone through that thought at the moment. I'm working out going, what's my next stage going to be, right?
Mm,
Because, I think probably there's one more, even though it won't be this one because I've had a break, but there's probably one more thing that I'd like to do, which is probably a Commonwealth Games, yeah.
hmm
But also, I'm mindful of, you know, the standards are getting better every year. You know what I mean? Like even if you're respectable or good or whichever term we want to use when we judge ourselves, um, it's always higher. So, but yeah, you kind of work out. For me, the thing about powerlifting is it does become, for good or bad, it does become a big part of your identity for a lot
mm,
when you're involved in it. So it's when you go through changes in thought or little breaks, it is hard to adjust to. Um, but it is the relationships, it is the people, for me, there is also a byproduct. I mean, I don't think I'd be managing with cerebral palsy as well as I do
hmm
if I hadn't have been a powerlifter for the last ever long.
Yep.
Because I can get around, I don't use a chair at home. I don't. I drive a car. I walk. I track my steps when I'm in that mindset and make myself move.
hmm
If I wasn't involved in para sport, I don't think I'd be that person. But I also know that I always wanted to be involved in sport. Like before I found powerlifting, and it was just when I found something that didn't involve your legs, I was like, all right, this is go time.
This is me. That's cool.
Yeah. So
So let's talk about what is next for you. Like, where do you see yourself going with powerlifting? Where do you fit?
um, look, I think I will do a competition at some point in the near future and see where I fit. Not in the near future, but when I'm ready, see where I fit. But I
hmm
also think I could be a mentor to people moving forward. But I think um, the break's been good in some senses.
hmm
Um, and yeah, I think it'd be a shame if I just walked away from it after so long
I agree.
and not passed on stuff. But I look, to be honest, I'm going through a bit of an adjustment of like, what do I want to do with this and how do I want to do it? Do I want to go back into full training?
hmm
Do I want to give my shoulders more time to settle down? Because you got to remember, I'm on my sticks 24/7 too.
Yeah.
So, but it was as well as connecting. It was kind of part of doing this podcast was part of sort of wanting to go talk about the past and maybe reignite the fire a little bit.
Yep.
And yeah, I thought people might find what was said valuable and enjoyable. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm just I've got a few other life things I need to do in terms of um, with work and all,
hmm
so I've got to do that stuff. But I think I'll definitely stay involved. I'll definitely do a local comp before I jump on internationally again and make sure I can still do it. Like the other day, I think I did. At the moment, I'm benching once a week, and the rest of the time at the gym, I'm just doing other stuff.
Yep.
And I still did like I don't know, 112 for 6, and it felt
Okay, so
unco.
you're still strong.
It felt unco because I'm not training. That's the biggest thing with cerebral palsy. Like because I'm not benching 3 or 4 days a week, the pattern of pressing. you lose the regularity and the touch of it all with CP
Yeah.
more because of your nervous system. So
Yeah, I think most people don't understand that smooth coordinated movement is the responsibility of the cerebellum, not the cerebrum. Like the initial motor
yeah,
pattern comes from, somewhere sort of this part here, but then while
yeah,
you're actually doing it at speed, it's all your cerebellum. Like all of that,
yeah,
all coordination is the cerebellum. So that's
yeah.
why I just, yeah. For you
So
guys, I'm just going, it's nuts what you're able to do. It's so impressive.
yeah, so I think that is like that's where I'm sort of at with it. But it's
Hmm.
I've noticed it because I've been doing it less often. If I'm still strong and I can still grind out weights, but I'm so unco
Right.
because I'm not benching 3 or 4 days a week.
So what do
I've
you
been
think would happen if you started benching 3 or 4 days a week? How quickly do you think that coordination would return?
oh 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't
Yeah,
think.
okay.
Well, I think muscle memory. I think 23 years of muscle memory will serve me well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's nice to be able to lift the weights, but it's also hard to not be as strong, but know it could come back if you make the switch, I guess. Um, but yeah, I think technically could teach a lot. I think
Hmm.
also people with if there was people with different disabilities other than the most common ones in terms of how to do some sort of bench press.
Hmm.
Um, I think I could be a great mentor, whether they do it at a local level or get higher. Because I've seen other people with balance issues over the years who've given it a go and stopped because it's
Hmm.
frustrating. You know,
Yeah.
they get to 70, 80 kilos or 90 kilos and they can't do more and they're trying really hard. You know, and there are little things you could do. Like my bar speed to the chest was at my best was pretty good, I thought, because I needed to finish the movement as quick as possible because I could only hold the balance for so long.
Ah, okay. I didn't realize that. 'Cause I remember like what your technique looked like, and you had this like you know how you see squatters used to dive bomb squat. I
Yeah,
reckon your bench was like the bench press version of that. You used to bring the bar down quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And look, it was probably sometimes it was too quick, but part of that was because when the balance wasn't 100% right, you didn't want to be under the bar for too long.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I had to slow that down and learn how to balance to probably get to the 145 at the international comp and the,
Hmm.
136 at 72 sort of thing.
Yep.
And even like, you lose a kilo or gain a kilo or you jump between categories, your balance under the bench changes too. So
Mm.
when you have a condition like CP, the way your body feels changes. So your pattern seems to change. And I think a lot of people, it's probably magnified a bit more with cerebral
Yep.
palsy, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, I think, look, I'm not lost to the sport. It's just a
Good.
bit of a gap. Um, I don't know. I don't know enough about. I like the fact that the disabled comps are more regular now because we used to
Hmm.
have 1 or 2 comps a year. So what you'd end up doing is you'd go and do the disabled nationals, and then you'd do 2 or 3 able-bodied comps to practice, but they were completely different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now that mechanism's changed. Um, but it's also I feel like I have a responsibility to pass on, be there for the next gen, even though they might be there to sort of kick my ass, to be honest. But um, I saw
Ah.
some of the lifts, and there's a couple of lifters that look like they're going to improve pretty quickly.
Hmm.
Um, they have the right mechanics for powerlifting, it looks like, and they're strong. So um,
What do you think is going to happen to all the records in the lighter weight classes, like your weight class, with now that we've got short statured people getting more and more involved?
they're going to increase.
Yeah, it's gonna
Um,
those numbers are gonna fly up. Like,
yeah, yeah. The range of motion is it's a hard thing to discuss because people are dealing with what they've been dealt with. Whether it's cerebral palsy, short stature, whatever other disabilities, right?
yep,
But I don't think powerlifting, in terms of disabilities, is a complete even playing field.
no,
Even though it's not a popular thing to say, it's the truth.
you're
Um,
spot on. It's not even. Like, yeah,
so yeah. But at the same time, you don't want to say that and be the one that's bitter, because I'm not bitter about. I'm not bitter about the experiences that I've had and what I've achieved and the people who've passed me. Like I've said this to Benny many times. You know, Benny passed me within a year, 18 months of joining the sport.
Hmm.
His old training partner Nang did the same.
Ah,
Um,
man, we're talking about Nang just the other week. Hopefully, he hears this and stops playing bloody badminton and comes back
yeah,
to powerlifting because
yeah.
you know
But that's
no
one of
one
the things.
cares. No one cares about your abs in badminton. That's for sure.
No, no. And one of the things is, you know, you think to yourself, I think that's the thing. Like, let's say you're, and I'm out of touch with the records, but let's say you're a 160 bencher at 72, but
Hmm.
you know the world record is 210. Does that mean you're no good at 160? No. But I think because people know what the records are,
Yep.
they go, like, if I took that mindset, I would have been retired 10 years ago. So,
Yeah.
do you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think it's what you get out of it, who you, and what it makes you, the opportunities you're afforded. You learn how to operate under pressure because the platform's a pretty lonely place when you're just you.
Hmm.
Um, you know, as we all know. But I think that's why it's proud to be a powerlifter because I think there are a lot of people, from what I understand, that jump sports and try different things. You know, because of where they might sit.
Hmm.
But I think to stick to something and just love it for what it is pretty cool.
I think that's we've been talking for an hour and a half. I'd really think we might wrap it up there because that's a cool bit to end on. Just finding something that you love, which you obviously do.
Yeah,
Um, and I know that there's just from a few conversations I've had, there's a lot of people that are really just waiting for you to come back. Um,
yeah,
because and once again because of who you are, not less to do with what you've done. Like we all love that you've benched so much and you've been so good across federations, both able-bodied and disabled sport. And because of that, I think people like yourself are really important to the community. Just you being at comps
mm,
is really important. So I, for one, would love to see you back on the platform. That would be awesome. But if you're not
yeah.
back on the platform, I hope you do stay involved with para powerlifting in some capacity, whether it's coaching or mentoring or just being available to talk to young lifters coming through. Because, like you said, man, I think you know 10 times more than what you think you know.
Well, if this is a platform to say it, I'm available for anyone who wants to chat.
There you go.
Um, so yeah, as I said, look, I think the thing to take away is you can learn so much from different people. Talk to different lifters. You don't have to just talk to one, and don't worry if the second lifter's offended if you're talking to the third, because because it's you know. And also a bit of a shout out. I think it needs to be said because I've been here from the start. You've talked about some influential people like Pritchard for able-bodied lifting, but Simon Bergner has done a fantastic job in
He has, hasn't
um,
he?
in building para powerlifting. And just he was an able-bodied lifter who got involved and went through the period of being the new guy on the block, and
Hmm.
you know, from what I understand, asking questions of all the people that have been involved in a long time, like Brian McNichol and the people that were involved, like Bill and Ray and everyone else that's around. So, you know, at the time that he got involved, we really needed someone to do it. So I think a bit of cute,
Yeah, that
like
was like 2018, somewhere around there.
somewhere around there. But I
Yeah.
think um, a lot of cute. I mean, before that, when the sport was smaller, you can't forget all the people that kept it going. You know,
Yeah,
but I
because there
think
was a lot. There was a lot of individuals over a longer
yeah,
period of time, wasn't it?
yeah, Ray Epstein, Bill Nancaro, Steve Green. Um, yeah, there's heaps of good people that did a lot of good things. But I think now you look at it and it's just in recent times, Simon's done a great job. So
Yeah.
I think it's worth giving kudos where it's deserved.
Good job, Mr. Bergner. And
Yeah,
we'll I'll make sure I tag him in this so he hears it as well.
yeah,
Uh, or chop it into a little clip for him for Instagram because you're right. He's done a lot of work, and look at there's 15 people on that world's team going to Egypt.
correct.
That's amazing. Like
It's
we didn't
amazing.
have yeah.
And
It's
like you would
taken a
have had,
long time to get teams like that in able-bodied sport with much more participation, and to be sending 15 athletes overseas like that is spectacular, really.
you know, and there'll be people watching that means in 20 years that somebody else might take up powerlifting. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
So so no, it's just great. And
So
I
if
think
anybody does want to, reach out and have a chat to you about your experience, or want to ask you advice, what's the best way they can find you?
uh oh well, I can give you. I guess I'm on Instagram as Paul Tesoriero,
There you
but
go.
my I guess my email is paul.test@outlook.com.
Okay.
If you wanted to start a conversation, and I'm always open and willing. But as I said, I'm not someone who's going to say, if you talk to me, don't speak to anyone else. My biggest advice in powerlifting is pick everyone's brains. But I'm always here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. All right, man.
Yeah.
Let's wind that up, and maybe down the track, let's do an episode with me, you, and Ben, and we'll see if we can get a couple, maybe Darren Gardner as well from the old days. That would be fun.
It would be.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been fun.
You're welcome, mate. That was great.